World is in turmoil right now because people are lost in space when space doesn't even exist, right? They have us spinning out of control, lost, thinking that we evolved from pond scum and that we're spinning on a ball, flying through an infinite vacuum, and we have no power, when the truth is we are at the center of creation and our thoughts create our reality, and they don't want us to know that.
I am Paul speaking for Free Range with Gail of Gaia. Today's program, for the first time ever on Free Range, Flat Earth Dave. I hope you got your aspirin handy, because this guy's going to blow you away.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. And you're going to love this one, because I have with me the man known as Flat Earth Dave, and we're going to talk about this because I think the timing is right. And I've always been a little chicken about this subject, because people get crazy because of the cognitive dissonance. But I think that starts at a very early age. And also have Paul with us today. He's finally back and feeling better, and he is very interested in this subject as well. So, Dave, let's take it to you. Would you please explain this to us? Because I think you've done more research than anyone.
Gail, flat Earth, are you out of your mind? It's absolutely insane. What is wrong with you? Have you lost? Everyone knows the Earth is round. Ships over the horizon, sticks and shadows, seasons, sunsets. You have to be a moron to think the Earth is flat, right?
That's what they say. That's what they say. I've been attacked before.
I noticed your greeting, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It sounded a little bit like the Truman Show.
No, really, yeah.
Right? And that's the true man show, living in a dome with everything small and close above. It's all that entire movie is a flat Earth show. So
fantastic.
Yeah. So I hear you were nervous to talk about this, and and 5 years ago, 6 years ago when we started, it was brutal. But now, people like yourself, people like others are like, okay, I need to talk about this, because for those of you that are listening that think, wait a minute, flat Earth, she's lost her mind, and even if it is flat, what difference does it make? It makes every bit of difference. The world is in turmoil right now because people are lost in space when space doesn't even exist, right? They have us spinning out of control, lost, thinking that we evolved from pond scum and that we're spinning on a ball, flying through an infinite vacuum, and we have no power, when the truth is we are at the center of creation and our thoughts create our reality, and they don't want us to know that. Who are they? They are the royal families, the Bilderberg Group, the United Nations, all of the elite banking families. These are the families that run the world.
Wow. Well, we know that they don't like humanity very much based on all the things that are going on right now. But would you explain to the listening audience, too, what you said that space isn't space. So could you explain that?
Okay. First, you have to remember that for those of you that are hearing this for the first time, every question you're going to ask, we've heard them before. We asked the same questions when we were in your spot. And these are pre-programmed questions that were put into us in our schooling, in the shows that we watched. Bill Nye, the lying guy with the bow tie, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like, if the Earth was flat, wouldn't an eclipse look like this sometimes? Or ships over the horizon. All of these things have been programmed into us. And another thing that's been programmed into us is, if you're just hearing about, if you're just hearing the show and going, wait a minute, flat Earth, that's impossible. People would fall off the edge. That's a program response. These images here, if you search flat Earth, these come up. And these are all from the Flat Earth Society. The Flat Earth Society is a controlled opposition, government-run disinformation site. And Google is happy to serve it to you anytime you want to look for it. Search flat Earth. There's stuff on that site, a little bit of truth, and then stuff like flat earthers believe that the Earth is rising at 9.8 meters per second, and that causes gravity. No flat earther believes that. Only globe believers believe flat earthers believers believe that, right? So this is mind control here. We don't believe that we're a disk planet floating with a whole bunch of other round planets. We don't even believe in planets. We're going to get into that a little bit.
That's interesting. Okay? Yes, I've heard about that big frequency, but go on, please.
Yeah.
Go on.
So, and I can prove to you that you couldn't see a planet if it was real, just like they say. There's no possible way. Scientifically, we can prove that. They say flat earthers are science deniers. No, we're not. We're science believers. We use science. Scientism is what they feed us on the helio-nonsensical model, I call it. I mean, it is insane. I'm going to say some insane things today, but when I do, it's because I'm talking about the helio-nonsensical model, as I like to call it. People don't even realize that in the heliocentric model, we're spinning. We're spinning. The Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour.
Wouldn't that make us fly off, Dave?
Well, that's what you would think. But they say, well, gravity, and it's so big, and it's only going around once a day. 1,000 miles an hour is 1,000 miles an hour. You're dropping around a curve at like 5 miles a minute or even more. It's ridiculous. While that's going on, you're orbiting the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. You're chasing the sun, as you can see here, at over 500,000 miles per hour. And that entire system's moving sideways, if your mind isn't gravy already, at over 1,000,000 miles per hour. Okay? And
that's
somehow,
insane.
Somehow you can go out tonight, look at the stars in the sky, mark where they are, mark the patterns, and then a year later, same night, same time, go out. Those stars will be in the exact same position. But we've traveled billions of miles, swirling and corkscrewing through space, but all of the stars reset, right? They tell us, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye, that the Earth is bulging at the equator due to the centrifugal force. I used to think that's the coolest thing ever. That makes a lot of sense. It bulges 14 miles high, they tell us. 14 miles high. Yeah, that's what they tell us. The Earth bulges 14 miles high. Well, when you're flying from the north to the south over the ball, at what point does your plane have to triple its altitude just to skim over that hump of water? Okay, the answer is never, because water lays flat. Large bodies of water lay flat. We're spinning, twirling, and whirling, and we have lakes that look like this.
Yeah,
I give anyone a challenge.
Yeah,
get a dinner plate, fill it to the brim with water, and then walk across your living room.
Yeah,
okay?
Really. Well, you know what's interesting, Dave, is the pilots and the navigators and so on, they must know this. How do they not know it?
Most of them do. Others are just automaton bus drivers that, they follow the book, they follow the GPS. They don't realize that, that east and west are circles. They think when they're heading 90 degrees south, 90 degrees east or 270 degrees west, that they're going in a straight line, but they're going in a circle. Here's the flat Earth. At the center, we have the magnetic north. I'm pushing this compass 270 degrees, which is dead west, but I have to keep turning for that needle to keep pointing towards the center. So west is a circle. East is a circle on a flat Earth and a globe Earth. Okay, I'm going east now. East is a circle because I have to keep turning, correcting to the north, right? If I try to dead reckon west, I'm going to follow a straight line. I'm not going to correct to the north. As soon as I start moving, I'm heading south. I'm heading south now, away from the magnetic center.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. People don't realize that. And
which brings up a point. If I could jump in here for just a second. When I was looking into flat Earth theory, I was looking, okay, well, the Earth's magnetism. I mean, how does the Earth's magnetism come into play? Now, magnets, they have a north and a south pole, but there are monopole magnets. What if the Earth is a monopole magnet and a compass, when you're heading south, is not pointing towards south? It's simply pointing away from north. And the reason that the compasses in Admiral Byrd's planes went haywire is they got so far away from magnetic north that they no longer knew what to point away from.
Compasses don't work in Antarctica. There's, they have there's maps called maps of magnetic declination, which means before you use your compass, you have to look and say, I need to correct 10 degrees to the west or 10 degrees, in one direction or the other. There's places in Antarctica where the magnetic declination is 170 degrees. That means if they say north is this way, it's really this way. You have to ignore your magnet and look 170 degrees in the other direction. It's almost directly in the opposite direction. That is just to confuse your mind. And Gail, you look very confused.
Yeah, going, holy smokes, how does this work? Yeah, it is. Oh, okay. But very, very interesting, too. Now, it's my understanding that outside of the wall, there's other planes of land. What's going on? What's up with that?
Well, the first thing is, when you say wall, Game of Thrones programmed everybody to think of, the little guy pissing off the end of the earth. Yeah. And the wall is really just the shoreline of our world pond. Okay. And that shoreline is Antarctica. Antarctica is the highest land on Earth. It's always cold there. And so the ice has just built up. It's hundreds of feet high. And so Antarctica is covered in ice. It's just because the sun doesn't circuit out there that far. Okay. So that's why Antarctica is frozen. In the summer, in our winter, our northern winter, in the southern summer, which I'll show you how that works, Antarctica, the edges will melt a little bit, but then they refreeze as soon as the sun moves away from Antarctica. So
they don't let anybody go up there, though, do they?
Well, that's a good point. They no one is allowed to independently explore Antarctica. Now, people go, hold on, you can book a trip to Antarctica right now. Well, yes, you can. All right. So this pink line is 60 degrees south. Nobody is allowed to go beyond that line unless you have a permit or you're on a guided tour. So if you want to spend $10,000 to $50,000 for a couple days vacation to go to Antarctica, you can. They take you to this peninsula, which is bigger than some countries. They'll show you some penguins and some icebergs, and they'll bring you out here and they'll show you a ceremonial South Pole, but your compass doesn't work and your GPS doesn't work. Okay. And then they kick you out. Nobody is allowed to go out here. There could be more land. Antarctica itself could be bigger than all of the continents and all of the oceans combined. Antarctica is not a ball. An island on the bottom of a ball. If it was, they say it's 13,000 miles around. Well, somebody could just take a ship and just sail around it, track 13,000 miles, and you can prove it. Well, the last person to try it was Captain Cook. It took him 3.5 years. He went over 60,000 miles. Okay. Because he had to go all the way around. He wasn't just going around a little continent at the bottom. 60,000 miles. The equator, which is halfway between the center and the outside here, is only 24,000 miles around. So if the Earth was a ball, when you're south of the equator, east and west circumnavigation should get less and less than 24,000 miles, but it gets bigger and bigger in the south.
Wow.
It's undeniable proof.
What's the purpose of this? What is the real purpose of this? Why are they lying to us about this? And why is the programming so strong? One of the first things that made me look at flat Earth theory was the very fact that we've been lied to about everything. Yeah. So why not this? And that's what I'll have to present to anybody. Why not this?
Yeah, we're told that the ancient Greeks figured it out, 2,000 years ago with Aristophanes and his sticks and shadows, right? You guys familiar with that story? He had he had a stick and it had no shadow, and then his buddy 500 miles away, there was an angle, there was a shadow, and the only way Carl Sagan, indoctrinated everybody with in the show Cosmos was the only way that can happen is if it's on a curved surface, right? Because he says all sun rays come in parallel, right? Well, for one, no one's ever seen parallel sun rays. They don't come in parallel. They come in splayed out in crepuscular rays. And if you do a little geometry and follow those lines up, The sun you're looking for is right above the clouds. But the problem with this experiment, which never happened because, 2,000 years ago, he did this. He figured out the size of the Earth. They say within 2%. Amazing. Well, he's the most famous mathematician in the world. There's not a single book that mentions that experiment until the mid-1980s when it was stuck into Rockefeller textbooks. Okay? It's a made-up story. But even if it was real, on a flat Earth with a small local sun, here's Eratosthenes. Here's his buddy, small sun, no shadow, angles, same math, and you could figure out the sphericity of this flat plane, which is not spherical. So that there shows you we don't live on a math equation. You can make math describe anything that you want as long as you set the parameters. Like they figured the sun was 93 million miles away because Venus, which is the same size as Earth, or almost, transited the sun, and people saw it start and stop at different places, from the East Coast and the West Coast. And they did perfectly good math and figured out the sun's 93 million miles away, but they assumed Venus was the same size as Earth. I say Venus is the size of a basketball. Okay? You can't prove either one of us right or wrong.
Wow.
Yeah. So they, you could assume anything. Like if I said, I'm going to triple your bank account for the next 3 days, I'm going to double it 3 days in a row, and you have $1 million in your account right now. So tomorrow you'll have 2 million. The next day you'll have 4 million. Next day you'll have 8 million, right? What's the problem with that equation? I assumed you had $1 million in your account.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what NASA does. They just throw in nonsense and people are like, oh my God, that makes perfect sense. You know what? If we lived on a ball and I went over this ball, my finger would disappear from the bottom up, right? Well, yeah. If we lived on a ball, that's true. But if we lived on a flat Earth, you experience a lot of the same things, but they don't want to teach you that. They don't want to teach you.
Well,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's my understanding that NASA means to deceive.
That is one definition. It is in Hebrew. I believe it means to deceive. I believe NASA is just an acronym for not a space agency.
I've heard another one. It's never a straight answer.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, if you knew nothing about the Earth, either of you, Paul. If you knew nothing about the Earth, you're here, you just woke up into consciousness and you're outside and you're living your life, farming, whatever. And I came up to you and said, hey, this Earth that you completely experience, stationary, stable, everything in the sky repeats every year. We're spinning, trolling, corkscrewing through space. Would you ever believe me? I mean, it's the most ridiculous story ever, but it's a news story. It's less than 100 years old. Wait a minute, right? Eratosthenes was made up, put into the history books in the mid-1900s. Okay, that wasn't that long ago. And in 1920, in the 1920s, they were still teaching flat Earth in public schools across America.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, and then there was a series of operations that they used to steal our reality from us. The first one was Operation High Jump, where they started discovering Antarctica in the 1940s. And then it was Operation, what does that one say? It's covered on mine. Operation Deep Freeze, where they found the firmament, which was the dome in the outer lands of Antarctica. So then they created NASA to hide that. And then all of a sudden, in 1959, when all the countries in the world are not getting along, fighting over resources, wars are happening, all of them signed a treaty that said, we can't disturb the penguins or the ice. Nobody can explore Antarctica. And that treaty is in place until the year 2041, and you can't even question it until 2041. The only treaty ever on anything that has ever lasted the test of time. It's still in effect today, and you can't explore Antarctica. What's up with that?
That is a good question. I don't get that at all. I mean, they're hiding something, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. And people, well, then there's all stories. They're hiding aliens. They're hiding this and that. Well, we get into that in a second.
Good.
Operation Fishbowl, where they started blowing bombs up. Why are they shooting bombs into space? And all the videos, which are hard to find right now, literally show the explosion kind of hitting something and spreading out like over a dome, an inside of a dome. Yeah. And then they gave us NASA, the moon missions to hide the firmament, to make you think you live on a ball. This is all how they controlled everyone's minds. So what is beyond the shoreline of Antarctica? Well, we don't know. But if we wanted to guess, we could think maybe there's more land out there. Maybe we live here. This ring is Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
And then out here is more oceans and more land, extra territory.
That's what I've seen or heard something to that effect.
Well, there's lots of stories and interesting stuff. There was a story about somebody that made it through one of these openings and found a land that they called the Iron Republic. And the story was that the people in the 1600s didn't like the tyranny that was going on. Imagine tyranny going on here. Imagine that.
Imagine that.
And they picked up and they left and they brought their civilization to this outer space. So if they came to visit us from this extra territory, what would you call them?
An extraterrestrial, right?
And where are they coming from?
That other territory.
Outer space. This is the inner space. This is the outer space.
Oh, yes.
So
okay.
They're always telling us. They use their word magic. So you guys have seen my app, right?
Yes, I just ordered it. Yeah.
Yeah. So look at the sun. The sun circles around. And if you're here, you see my mouse, we're here in the Arctic. The Arctic. What Arctic? Why is it called the Arctic? Well, the sun is arcing around us. Okay?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right? And if I was out here in the Antarctic, what's the sun doing? It's antarcing away from me. It's not arcing around me. It's antarcing.
Fascinating.
Antarctica?
Well, I'm kidding.
Arctic. So just I'm sure you guys know, but right now you see this inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer. The outer yellow line is the Tropic of Capricorn. And the sun migrates in between those two every 6 months. Okay? So right now it's almost up to the Tropic of Cancer. If I jump the sun forward to June, July, it's over the Tropic of Cancer. And look, it's going right over the lower United States. We're having our summer because the sun is high in the sky near us, right? Australia is having their winter because the sun is far away from them. But if I jump the sun forward to January or December, it's now our winter in the inner north, and the outer south has their summer because the sun is closer and higher in the sky, right?
Wow.
Imagine two people laying down on the ground outside, okay? Or whatever. The room's cold. You're in a cold room, and you're 10 feet apart. And I've got a nice big heat lamp, and I'm holding it over one of you, okay? That person is going to be that's going to be high in the sky. It's going to be high over them, and they're going to be warm. The person way over there is going to be cold, and when they look at it, it's lower in their view. It's lower in the sky because it's far away. And then if I move it over to them, this person's going to be cold, and that person's going to be warm. This person's going to have the sun high over their head, and the other one is going to be seeing that light off to the side, right?
Wow. Yeah, and that's essentially what's happening, is what you're saying.
That's exactly what we see.
Wow.
And it's the third, like when you're warm, like if you're in a hot tub and then in the middle of the winter outside, and then you get out of the hot tub, it could be 10 degrees outside. You're fine standing there in your bathing suit wet for a few minutes because you have all this thermal heat coming off of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I took that heat lamp and I made that big circle and I was going around just to people that, the person that's, underneath that bigger radius, that person's going to be warm. And then as I move away, where I'm going far away, it's nighttime. They're still going to be warm for a little bit. They're not going to be freezing yet, but all of a sudden I came back and I keep heating them up and I keep heating them up and I keep heating them up. That's how our day and night work here, because at nighttime it should be freezing if the earth didn't have any thermal heat that it was, releasing. And then if I move away from that person, I make smaller circles, that person out here is just going to be not going to get enough heat, and they're going to have their winter.
So, what about coronal mass ejections? What's that all about?
Have you ever seen one?
No.
Yeah, I say, cool story.
Okay, well, I've got a question. We briefly touched on NASA, never a straight answer, whatever.
Yeah.
And that the moon landings are all faked and all that. I mean, a couple of key points is Nixon talked to the astronauts over radio from the Earth to the moon.
Telephone.
Yeah, I saw that.
There was perfect clarity, and there was no delay, because radio waves and light waves move at the same speed, 186,000 miles per second. Now, how far is the moon supposed to be away? And wouldn't there have been some kind of an echo or a delay between what Nixon said and what the astronauts said?
That was in the 1960s or 70s, 1960, 1970s. So in year, I think it was around 2000, Felix Baumgarten, if I say that name right, did his space jump, this edge of space jump, right? And he was up 127,000 feet. Well, they almost lost communication with him. The people right under him in New Mexico couldn't even communicate with him at 127,000 feet.
Okay. And how many miles is the moon supposed to be away?
238,000 miles.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So at 186,000 miles per second, there would have been at least a 1 second delay in what
I think there
saying.
was. I think it's like a couple seconds. I think it's yeah, they have the big problems with their delay, that, and there's no way that they can do that. They couldn't communicate in 2000. They couldn't communicate with this guy at 127,000 feet.
Okay, what about some of the images that we've seen of the moon and the lunar lander and things, and how the shadows aren't right? Some things the shadow goes off this way, but other items, other entities in the same picture, the shadow goes the other way.
Right. So that shows you that it's done in a Hollywood studio. This is the Japanese orbiter showing the moonrise. Okay? This is what they showed us as real. I mean, you can see that this is not real, right?
Right.
Looks pretty fake to me.
Yeah. Fake as fake can be. Where is I was looking for another moon thing. If you look at the moon, the lunar lander, this is the lunar lander, okay? Right? So you have the orbiter and the lander. Does this look like a spaceship to you? This is what they showed us. Look at this. People go, well, they didn't have Photoshop and CGI back then. Yeah, they didn't. They had little models, with a little background in a dark room. There's supposedly two guys in here, okay? And they're going to meet up with the lunar orbiter. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then this thing is taking off on the moon for the first time. This is what we see. It's nonsense. It's absolutely
It really
nonsense.
is, boy. So what was the purpose of all this? Has the purpose of all this been to co-opt all of our taxpayer money and pretend they're doing all these ridiculous things? And
Well, NASA gets $65 million a day, or at least they take $65 million a day away from us. Okay. NASA's not a real space agency. They're a Hollywood studio. And the whole idea of this is mind control. It's to control us. The whole purpose of NASA is to make us believe that we live on a ball and that we're insignificant. They don't want us knowing that we're at the center of creation and that nobody has dominion over us. Nobody can rule over us. Nobody can take away our free will. They can only scare us and coerce us into giving it up. But there's no one's allowed to break our free will unless we willingly give it up. What are the odds that in 1968 or 5, that Stanley Kubrick is with all of these guys, NASA director, NASA astronaut, Arthur C. Clarke, right? What are they doing in Hollywood? What are they doing?
obviously, none of these people have any conscience at all. They're okay with totally lying and fooling the public.
Well, they're only following the instructions of the people that are trying to diminish God by because Genesis, first few verses in Genesis says that the earth is fixed and unmutable, that it is supported on 4 pillars,
right.
And that the stars are affixed to the firmament. So if you believe the flat earth and you believe Genesis, you almost kind of sort of have to believe in God. But if you believe in a round earth, then you can completely discount the four verses, the first four verses.
They don't want you in a situation where you cannot deny the creator. I was not I believed there wasn't a creator. I was an atheist, if I had to put a label on myself, until I discovered the flat earth. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this place is intelligently designed, and everything changed from there. So,
right.
There's a verse in the Bible. I should memorize the verse. It says that if you deny that once you see my creation, you can no longer deny my existence. So once you see the real earth, there's no denying a creator. They don't want that. There's plenty of people that have found the creator. There's plenty of people that are on the fence, and plenty of people that don't. They want to keep as many people away from God as possible.
Boy, that couldn't be more obvious now.
Oh yeah, no kidding. I mean, with all the stuff that they're doing, it's literally insane. It's completely insane.
Free Range with Gail of Gaia and Free Range Productions is proud to partner with C60evo.com, makers of ESS 60 products. C60, the carbon-60 molecule, delivers more than 172 times the power of vitamin C as an antioxidant. ESS60 is simply the purest form of C60, a known antiviral, antibacterial, and anti-inflammatory remedy that not only works, it is the only C60 molecule that is approved for both internal and external use. ESS60 neutralizes free radicals from cell metabolization and external toxins to help minimize inflammation and maximize detoxification. People report better sleep, more energy and flexibility, and renewed mental clarity when they take ESS60 products. For more information, visit ess60.gailofgaia.com. That is ess60.gailofgaia.com.
I know what's funny is in Zoom, this is the one picture that I cannot delete. This is a cartoon, right? This is a background that you're not allowed to delete, right? And so whenever I go on a show with globe believers, they always have this on. And so I just put this on. I'm like, this is an actual video of the Earth versus your cartoon Earth. Okay.
Wow. We're going to have to change the end of our videos, Paul.
You got to globes are pretty cool. Globes are fun. There's so many people that have them and that don't even know that they've been programmed into loving them.
Mm-hmm. Well, we knew better, but it was just interesting looking.
So people that are having a hard time, like, whoa, wait a minute, they're not showing us the real footage of the moon because there's people on the moon and all this stuff. Nonsense. The moon is close. The moon is within the Earth system, and it is not terra firma. So the moon that we see is not physical. It's a light. Right. And you can tell that it's close because if you go out when there's a bright moon and there's spotted clouds, there's clouds all the way away, but it's only lighting up the clouds that are close. If it was 230,000 miles away, it would light up all of the clouds. It would light them all up.
Absolutely.
But the moon that we see is in a position relative to ourselves. We're seeing a reflection, for lack of a better word. And as you move, that reflection follows you. Remember when you were in a car, you said, Mom, the moon's following me. And she said, no, it's not. Well, she was wrong. You were right. The moon does follow you, as does the sun, because they're not physical objects.
Okay. I want to hear more about that.
So the way it works is, I believe, and again, anything above where we can reach and beyond the shoreline of Antarctica, we can only do experiments and speculate. We can't know anything. So this is how I see it working. I believe that there's a dome above us that is like a looking glass, just like it says in the Bible. And if you here's a dome that we have, and if you look at it, there's literally like this sun that's floating inside, like a perfect sun. And all I'm doing is I'm moving my iPhone light above it in a circle, and there's a projection in there. Okay. And depending on where you are, you see it in a different position. Like if you and I, if Paul, if you and I were outside and we're 50 yards apart, we're looking at a giant mirror standing up in front of us, and the sun was setting behind us, and we're looking at the sunset in the mirror. I could send Gail up to the mirror with a Sharpie and say, all right, draw a circle right there. That's where I see the sun. Then she walks over to you, and she draws a circle where you see the sun, and our circles are 50 yards apart. We're seeing the sun in two different positions because it's more of a reflection than anything. Remember when you were a kid and burning ants with your magnifying glass?
Yeah. I never did that.
Come on.
I burned a pencil or two, but I never burned anything.
Never burned any ants? All right, you're the first one. I think Gail did. So when you take that magnifier and you get that perfect idea. You get that perfect little spot. I tell people go outside with a magnifying glass and make that spot. It looks just like a sun. But it's it's on the ground. Then if you move that magnifying glass up 6 inches, it's gone. But it's really still there. It's just being focused in the air 6 inches. So that's how I look at that as the dome, as the magnifier that is putting that light into our reality. But it's way more than a light. Okay, the sun is amazing. I was in Vegas at a conference, and I'm at the pool in the late afternoon. The sun is going down, and it's really hot on the right side of my face. I'm like, wow, I'm like going to be toasted on one side of my face. But the hotel 100 yards away had mirrored windows, and the sun was reflecting in one of those windows at one point and reflecting on the left side of my face. And I could see the sun. It looked like the same sun because it's a mirror. But I closed my eyes, and I said, if I didn't know which one was the real sun, could I tell by the amount of heat? And I couldn't tell. It was the same amount of heat, which is amazing. Wow, and anybody can do this. Get a mirror, get a big mirror, go outside, reflect the sun, and then, and then get in between. And the sun in the mirror is as hot as the sun in the sky. Well, they're both reflections.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And it makes sense.
That was like an aha moment for me. So getting back to NASA for a minute. So people say, oh, come on. If you catch NASA lying once on the space station, faking floating, faking something, then they're lying about everything. You can unwind it all the way to the moon. They just got a delivery of some fresh fruit from the Soyuz or whatever the rocket that came up, and they were playing with it, and watch what happens. This is a augmented reality object. It's not really there. They're manipulating nothing, right? Just like they do in the movies. Okay?
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah,
that's not real.
Yeah,
it's not real.
CGI.
And so
his hand went right through it.
Yeah, why are they faking stuff? Watch this. She's talking to kids. This is a balloon with helium in it. It is floating. It's real. This is not real, but she's playing with it, and they even beamed it in with this little beam and a beaming noise. And she's talking to kids. It's called leap motion. It's augmented reality, and you can manipulate things in real time. And they can render it. I mean, the green screen technology that they have is you can't tell what's going on.
Yeah, just like they faked that. I forget the name of the Apollo mission where all of these teachers supposedly died.
No, the one teacher that you're talking about, the Challenger.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
So all of these astronauts, 6 of the 7, have identical twins that have the same name, same birth date, sound like them, act like them, and most of them work for universities. Okay? And they're like, no, that was my twin brother. So NASA must have a fetish for twins. The bigger problem is none of the twins showed up at their sibling's funeral. Okay?
Okay, just given the intelligence, the background, the education, the preparation going into the Challenger launch, okay, how is NASA going to find what did you say? 6 of the 7?
6 of the 7 astronauts are alive and well.
6 of the 7. 6
and we just can't find the 7th.
Yeah, but 6 of the 7 as twins. What is the likelihood? What is the probability?
You want to hear Baller Dave's answer to that? I have an
Okay.
alter ego is Baller Dave. You can make an excuse for anybody. NASA wants to study the difference, like if someone's in space, the bone density loss. So if they have an identical twin that never leaves the Earth, they can do better testing.
How
Baller
convenient.
Dave. Yeah. Anytime you want a baller answer, just ask me because I'll bring up Baller Dave and he knows it all.
My question is did they put in that prerequisite as being required to be an astronaut? You must have a twin.
Yeah, I guess not. No. I don't even think they're using real astronauts anymore. I think some of these people that we see on the International Fake Station are computer generated.
The technology in that regard is absolutely amazing. You never know for sure who you're hearing, what you're seeing, if it's a real person or a CGI, really. And they can do the same thing with audio as well.
Yeah, look at this. Chris Hadfield playing his guitar, he loves it. And these guys are in different rooms. They're in front of a green screen, and the other astronaut that's holding the microphone misplaces where Chris is and sticks it right into his neck.
Oh my God. This is all just to control us. It's mind boggling.
It is. So you asked before, I don't know if I really answered it. Why the lie? Why are they lying?
Yes.
I kind of answered it, but I want to make the point. It's because for all through time, everyone knew the Earth was flat. But it didn't matter because there was the elite, the kings and the queens, the royal families, and the peasants that were just trying to survive. And it doesn't matter. Earth is flat or not, it doesn't matter. But then the Industrial Revolution came around, the early 1900s. People started gaining more power and influence. And they said, okay, there was a reset in the 1800s. Something happened. There was a massive mud flood, whatever it was. And then coming out of that in the early 1900s, the people that took over said, we need to hide the truth of this world is because the people will rise up against us and take away our power. If everyone in this world is following these ridiculous rules, the only power people have over you is in your mind. It's like the only thing that's ever gone to space is your imagination. Well, the only power that authorities have over you is your imagination of what they have, right? Imagine if everyone tomorrow said, we're not listening to anything you say about anything ever, and we're just going to live our lives, it would be over, right? We are the 99.999%. They are the nothing. They are a rounding error.
Well,
unfortunately, so many people have blind faith in authority and in the construct that is controlling people. And they're afraid to step outside the bounds because they have kept us in some sort of fear for our entire life.
Well, so that's the other thing. Why a heliocentric model? Because if you believe you're spinning out of control, lost in space, well, an asteroid can take you out at any moment, right? We could, our star could supernova, whatever. We could run out of fossil fuels. Nuclear bombs are going to take us out. We're going to run out of food. We're going to run out of water, right? All of that is mind control nonsense. There's unlimited water. There's unlimited food. There's unlimited free energy, which they don't want us to have. In the 1800s, there was giant airships the size of aircraft carriers flying all around the world, across the plane. Okay? Right there, but they've wiped that out. And the Hindenburg was first they demonized hydrogen. Oh my God, the Hindenburg hydrogen, and they related it to hydrogen bombs. And people are so confused. Can never use hydrogen, too dangerous. And helium, well, there's a helium shortage. You know why? They say there's a helium shortage, but there's infinite amount of helium. But NASA owns all of the helium companies.
Oh, lovely.
Because all of their satellites are balloons.
For anything that you look at or that you're exposed to, that whether or not you believe it or not, okay, and this touches on Gail's question. It's their control and everything else. They've already set up the backdrop for the belief in a globular Earth, because for the first 12 years of life after age 5, roughly 9 months a year, 5 days a week, so many hours a day, the first thing that students saw when they walked into their classroom was a globe Earth.
And they had to pledge allegiance to the flag.
Yeah. Every, I mean, there's just that exposure to a globe.
You say 5 years old, I say infants, right? If you're a good parent, you probably put a mobile over their head of the solar system, right? They probably had NASA sheets. All of the cartoons. Did you ever read Goodnight Moon to your kid? You know, all of there's astronauts on Sesame Street. Okay, they're programming you from everything, and then the kids go to school. What's one of the first things they learn? The solar system, right? That's one of the first worksheets little kids bring home. Is, you know, the sun the Earth orbits the sun, the moon orbits the Earth, and I remember that sheet. Right? And kids today still get it. It's astronauts. And then they teach you about dinosaurs. And they say an asteroid killed all of the dinosaurs. What does that do to a kid's psyche? Right? They're instilling fear and this solar system belief. And then their entire worldview is built on top of that. So you're reaching down. When you go to somebody, you know, our age, or just any person, even kids are the worst now because they're so indoctrinated. You're reaching in and ripping out their entire foundation of their worldview, ripping it out. But the good news is you're actually giving them a foundation to stand on, which is the flat, stationary, stable, created, amazing Earth, rather than a speck flying through an infinite, impossible vacuum.
What about the center of the Earth? Can we describe that at all?
Yeah, it's filled with gold. So I made that up. I made that up because they're making this up, right? The deepest hole ever dug is short of 8 miles. Compare that to an apple. It's like drilling halfway through the skin of an apple. Okay?
Wow.
They used ground penetrating radar to see what they're going to hit while they were digging through the skin of the apple, and they were wrong every step of the way. But then they hit an impenetrable barrier where they couldn't get through it for years. Too hard, could not get through it. Nothing could get through it. But then all of a sudden they know what the next 4,000 miles is, and they tell us it's a magnetic molten core. Okay? That's like saying military intelligence, right? It's a misnomer. You can't have molten magnets because when you heat a magnet up, it loses its magnetism even before it melts. And they're telling us there's a molten magnetic core 4,000 miles from where they couldn't even guess what the first 7 miles was. Okay? But then they know this is a meme. This is a meme. We're brought up on a meme. This is nonsense. Water sticking to a ball, cruise ships upside down, holding on trillions and trillions and trillions of tons of ocean while we're spinning. And it's nonsense. We live in the Arctic basin, the Antarctic basin. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat, testably, scientifically, provably flat. Submarines with sonar can see another submarine near the bottom of the ocean over 100 miles away. Well, there should be a mountain over a mile high in between them, and their sonar doesn't go over mountains. It goes straight and it bounces back. There's no way sonar could see another submarine at the bottom of the ocean unless the ocean was flat.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
What about the Admiral Byrd story?
So Admiral Byrd said that he flew out beyond the poles and there was more land filled with resources that no human has ever set eyes upon. Okay? And then all of a sudden he disappears. He dies not too long after that. And they signed the Antarctic Treaty. Nobody can go there. I don't care. Nobody can go there. Nonsense.
Didn't his son actually publish his memoirs after his death? What was in that?
I don't know. And if he did, you know, what was it? You know, on, well, not him. I mean, that again, Admiral Byrd, was he a Freemason? Was he part of it? Was he telling us because they have to tell us? Or did he, you know, before they realized he went on a news show before they realized what he was going to say? And then that was the last news conference he ever did. Okay. So was it an accident? Was it on purpose? Doesn't matter. You know, what are we going to do about it? So
Yeah, there's been an unfortunate demise to anyone who attempts to tell the truth about different things.
Yeah.
It does seem like we're having more of that happening now. And I don't know exactly why, but yet we have people that are strongly clinging to the official narrative, no matter how much sense it does not make. Oh, that's a pretty picture.
Yeah, and you can see that the sun is not far away. Connect those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not far at all.
I've got a picture. I took a picture with my cell phone of the sun over the city south of me in New York, and the rays were literally like this, at a 90-degree angle. But and I know that we're only slotted for 60 minutes, and we're getting up to the wire. Could you?
Good.
Could you give me a brief synopsis on why dinosaurs, nuclear weapons, volcanic eruptions are all fake?
Okay. So dinosaurs through all the construction in the past, the pyramids, there's never, ever a mention of dinosaurs. In the late 1800s, one royal guy wrote a paper or a book about the theorizing of dinosaurs. And a year later to the day, he discovers the first dinosaur.
How convenient. Okay.
Do you need anything else? All the dinosaur bones that you see in the museums aren't real. They admit they're not real, but they don't tell you they're not real, but they'll admit it. So, no dinosaur skull has ever been found. And if you look at dinosaurs, there's no way they could physically exist. Go get two Stegosaurus dolls and tell me how they mated. Okay. There's no way that now, again, were there large lizards? Yes. Did they live here recently? Yes. Were there large humans? 100%. There was giants here. If you start looking into that, but the Smithsonian was developed to hide that. Anytime anyone discovers any large bones, the Smithsonian comes in, wraps them up, says, oh, we're going to investigate this. They tell you some bullshit and you never see them again.
Smithsonian is a CIA op.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. And then volcanoes. I had a hard time with this. Well, what about Mount St. Helens? Well, Mount St. Helens was not lava. There was some explosion, whether that was natural or they were testing some directed energy weapon. Couldn't tell you. But large cone-shaped mountains do not spew lava. Lava travels in the earth through lava tubes. Okay. And it's not from the intense heat at the core, because that's nonsense. How would it get through that impenetrable barrier? Right. It doesn't go through that. It goes in lava tubes, and those lava tubes are made by electrical currents. We live in this electrical system, and the earth is like a capacitor, and it builds up, electricity, and electricity flows through the earth. So this is a ceramic thing where they put an electric current through it and melts the rocks into lava just with electricity, right? That's what lava is. And it moves through lava tubes. Sometimes a lava tube will breach the surface and lava will come out through the surface. Well, as it hardens, it gets taller and taller, and it makes a cone shaped hill. But guess what? That hill maybe is 20 feet tall, maybe 30. Doubt it even gets that high. And then the news media comes in and they take a picture where you have nothing in context, and they tell you that it's a mountain. Then they'll show you a lava flow. They'll show you a pit of lava, and then they'll show you that cone. Never is there a giant mountain spewing lava that I've seen. You've only seen it in movies.
Wow.
Yeah.
So lava tubes, this world is an electrical system, right? The sun and the moon are the anode and cathode. The salt water carries the current. The land is the salt bridge, and there's electricity everywhere. Tesla proved it, okay? Not Elon Musk, Tesla, the real Tesla. And there's free energy everywhere. All of the old tech, all of these towers and domes that were built, in these old world buildings, these weren't just for decorative. These were free energy machines. And all of that has been hidden from us. The resonance of the earth is the most powerful thing, and we resonate with the earth, and we used to know how to manipulate that, but all of that was taken away from us.
Pyramids.
Do you think we're going to get it back, Dave? Do you think
here's the thing. If we get it back, how long can we keep it? Okay. If we don't know how long, who we are, where we are, or what we are. So people say, Dave, with all the crap going on in the world, why are you talking about flat earth? And it's because people are lost in space, spinning out of control, that we've lost control of this world. You don't know who you are, where you are, what you are. You can't do very much. Now, there are people that, are doing well. They've got their thoughts together, but they're still missing out on how powerful they are. And the analogy I use is Neo in the Matrix. At the beginning, he's depressed. Something's wrong. He's still plugged into the matrix, fear matrix that has control of his mind. Well, he unplugs spiritually, physically, whatever. And by the end of the movie, he knows who he is, where he is, what he is, and the power of his mind. And he's now this powerful being living in this realm. And that's what we all are. But that's been taken from us through fear. Fear is the energy that depowers us. There's a war for our souls. They want our souls. These soulless bastards want our souls. And they're trying to beat down through all of the layers that, the layers we have hope and love and kindness and all of these things that make us human. Well, they're trying to beat that out of us to expose our souls so that we give them up willingly. So our goal here is to maintain control of our soul and not break anyone else's free will. That's it. We're in an amazing game. And if everyone just woke up to that, this place would be amazing. This would be beyond a utopia. So here's the thing. Flat Earth is the answer to that, because every single person that knows the Earth is flat it becomes aware of everything else. It opens up the gates to the creation of who you are, and you connect with source energy better. Okay? If you're spinning out of control and deep down in your subconscious, you're out of control. You're spinning out of control. And what can you do very well spinning out of control? And the answer is not as much as you should be able to. So when you search flat earth, you're going to get nonsense. You're going to get garbage. You can spend 500 hours researching flat earth. You'll find 2 hours worth of good content. Okay. I created this app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, to help people learn about flat earth. And I have a challenge for people that think that thinks this is stupid. I say that every day there's a featured video down the bottom left corner, and I say watch that video each day for 2 weeks. And at the end of that 2 weeks, you'll lose the respect of your family and friends because you'll be a flat earther. But if you're not a flat earther, you can send me one proof of the globe, and I'm offering a Bitcoin for one proof of the globe. It's $55,000 today. But before you send it to me, you have to hit that question mark on the right. And when you hit that, up come every question you're going to ask. What about eclipses? What about the Coriolis effect? What about gravity? If I hit ships over the horizon, up comes a whole list of videos that YouTube, Google will not serve you. They don't want you seeing these. Okay? Am I sharing my screen? Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So are we able to see these then, though?
Yeah. These are on YouTube, but they won't come up in your search. If you search,
okay, just like my shows don't.
Yeah, top 10 reasons the Earth is flat. You'll get top 10 reasons the Earth is a globe. Right? They're gonna feed you garbage. Hey, Dave, send me something on the fake moon landing. You'll watch it, and then the next video up will be a YouTube algorithm about how the moon landing wasn't faked and how conspiracy theorists are crazy and just not nonsense. So also in the app is tons of other information. Bottom right, mud floods. Next to that, flat earth and the Bible. Amazing videos on the Bible, connection to flat earth. Now, I'm not a Bible guy. My co-host is. Amazing stuff there. Some of my favorite videos.
They lied a lot. They picked and chose what they wanted to put in there.
Right. Also, when you're talking flat earth with people, you can pull up the images and tons of images of stuff that you can explain. One of my favorite is, did we go to the moon in this? Right? Did we go to the moon in that?
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's made of paper mache and tin foil and tape and curtain rods. Okay.
Oh my God. God.
And those of you that have the app, share the app with friends. Give it to your family members. Gift it to them. You can gift it. You just go into settings and you can say gift to a friend, or just send the link. Send the link to a friend, and it'll wake them up, and then you'll have someone to talk to, somebody that doesn't think you're crazy. It also does a whole bunch of ton of other things. You can change the background, whatever you want. And it shows you how a compass works. If I can turn on the compass. As I showed you, east and west are circles. South is every direction away from the center. North is every direction towards the center. Okay? So that's how a compass works. It'll also show you winds at elevations. If I go to 40,000 feet, this is what the winds look like at 40,000 feet. Those pink and white lines, those are going like 200 plus miles an hour. So airplanes sometimes use them when they're doing long distance trips.
Yeah, there's some not untruths about jet engines and so on, and how they use air and fuel and so on. I'm no expert on that, but I remember reading about that and being rather astounded.
Yeah, it's truly amazing about, if you want to look into the large jets don't use fuel.
Yeah.
Okay. Stoplookthink.com. Stoplookthink.com. And then go to the no jet fuel button or drop down menu. And the first video there will, if this is new to you, will convince you, but the rest of them will literally turn you into an insane person.
You want to, so why are the flights so expensive? We are being just lied to about everything.
Right. So it's called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. It's available on Google Play. You have to have 8.0 operating system or higher. Android, Apple, an iPhone 6 or better, and works on iPad. What else is there? And it's literally the best way to wake up to flat Earth. It's made by Blue Water Bay. There's already a knockoff by the same name in the Apple Store, which is made by the Flat Earth Society globe trolls that are trying to gatekeep your mind. Feel free to get it, but don't send me an email that my app sucks, because my app is one of the highest rated apps in the App Store. So check that out. And I guess I'll finish with, don't let them control your mind with cartoons.
Oh, I'm done. I've only got Android 7.1 on all my devices. Oh, well.
Sorry.
I just downloaded it, and it should work fine.
It's actually just a scam to get everyone to upgrade to the higher phones. I work for the phone companies.
Yeah.
I want everyone to buy newer phones.
Yeah, I always thought it was interesting how as soon as your payment plan with your phone company ran out, all of a sudden your phone would stop working, or the battery would be dead. Or
I didn't, I tried to make it available for, with all the features on it. It just, they make you upgrade to keep up with the new operating system. And when you do that, it makes the older operating systems not work. And you're not allowed to have two versions in the store. I can't have here's one for 7.0 and below, and here's one for 8.0 and above. They don't allow you to do that. So that's by design. There's nothing I can do about it.
Microsoft started that.
Microsoft is a very benevolent company. What are you saying? That they're bad people?
And now we come to the stark raving mad portion of today's show.
Oh my God.
All right, everybody.
This has been absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much, Dave. I love your work. I love what you've done. And I hope we can wake up more people to the real facts.
It's just so important that we all speak up. Everyone's wearing masks because everyone's wearing masks. It's literally a self-fulfilling thing at this point. People know.
I have never worn one yet.
Thank God. I love you. I have not either. Right. And I go to the places that allow me, so
I just go in. If they say anything and they're going to give me a hard time, I just leave. I'll shop elsewhere.
My favorite line to say is, I don't participate in untested medical trials of my DNA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one for this new one. And I go, I prefer to breathe oxygen. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Just to let everybody know that I do post-production on these programs, and the content in this show is just way too good not to put on YouTube. So I will be editing out of the YouTube copy of this video this part. Okay?
Good for you.
I will be editing that out. This will go on YouTube. Absolutely.
Right. Awesome, Paul. You are a smart man. Thank you.
Yes, he is. And I am so happy to have him back because he was sick for a while, and he's great post-production guy.
Well, welcome back. All right. Thank you. And we'll see you next time.
Yes. This was great, Dave. Thank you so much.
See ya.
Thank you, Dave.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you for listening.
The Flat Earth Sun and Moon Clock App, a dynamic new app to teach family and friends about where they actually live. The sky is a perfect clock. The sun measures the hours and days. The moon measures the weeks and months. The star constellations measure the seasons and years. 12/12 or 24-hour clock face, or go hands-free. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock App with new added features. World Time. See what time it is all around the flat Earth. A true Earth compass that shows true navigation across and around the flat Earth plane. Weather. Tap for detailed local weather information. Know what phase and where the moon is at all times. Watch the sun travel between the tropics for the seasons. Select an amazing background. Add your own or have the app change it to a new one automatically every time you use the app. Add a countdown to your next big date. Learn the truth about our world with the featured video of the day. Web button for additional flat Earth related features, from the mythical curve calculator all the way to Tartaria. While talking to friends, easily pull up pictures that expose the globe lie and shine light on the flat Earth truth. Video playlists in different languages. See the real trade winds circling the flat Earth, and clean screen features. Simply click off the items you don't wish to see. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app is the best tool to show your friends and strangers how our flat Earth actually works.